waiting to sit down and talk to him one-on-one, seeing what his mental at. Whatever he want to do, I just prepare him for it mentally.
The relationship between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and his longtime mentor and coach Calvin Ford has always been a close one. Calvin Ford, with his deep-rooted old-school mentality, has played one big role in shaping Davis into the legend we see today.
We good friends.
Yeah.
And then you let people out in the business do things because it's business, but then in the mindset, it don't look right.
Yeah.
You don't never hear us.
However, recently, talks have surfaced about Davis and Ford parting ways. The reason behind this separation, Leonard Ellerbe.
Roger never got trainer of the year when Floyd was fighter of the year. Yeah. His dad never got trainer of the year. So, I've been openly expressing that. And I think it's time that Calvin gets his just due.
Yeah.
This shift isn't just a story of business and contracts. It cuts deep into the personal bond between Gervonta and Calvin Ford. Over the years, Ford had stood by Tank, from his formative years in Baltimore to becoming one of boxing's biggest stars. But it seems that as Davis's fame and fortune have grown, so too has Ellerbe's role in his life. Now Ellerbe's involvement is more prominent, pushing out Ford's voice and presence in Gervonta's corner, both literally and metaphorically.
The nickname Tank go about, because I was thinking, is he hit like a tank, or is it like he's built like a tank?
Nah, when he was little, he had a big ass head.
It's no secret that Ford wasn't just a coach. He was like a father figure to Gervonta, guiding him through the ups and downs of his journey. But when business ties deepen, personal relationships often suffer, and Ford's bond with Tank seemed to fade as Ellerbe became the driving force in Davis's career. Ellerbe had taken Gervonta to new heights, ensuring big money fights and constant media attention. In contrast, Ford remained a humble figure, more concerned with the technical side of boxing. Many believe that Ellerbe's flashy, business-first approach clashed with Ford's old-school methods, leading to a natural divide between the two.
So I leave that up to him, let him deal with that, you understand? But his trainer here, his team here, that means we what? We here.
Ford, in a candid interview, expressed the toll this had taken on his relationship with Tank. He noted that their friendship had slowly eroded over time. "Ellerbe ruined our friendship," Ford stated. The more Ellerbe got involved, the more Ford felt sidelined, and their connection, once strong, began to unravel. Interestingly, another side of this story hints that the split might not have been just about business or the influence of Ellerbe. Calvin Ford has always had a unique perspective when it comes to knockouts. For a trainer known for crafting one of boxing's most feared knockout artists, Ford's personal disdain for knockouts is an intriguing twist.
Calvin Ford, what does he mean to you when you hear that name? What does he mean when you first hear that?
A father. Father. And then he's one of the guys that held a lot of this, like this whole family together. Him with Kenny.
During a heartfelt conversation with T-Bose, Ford revealed something unexpected. He doesn't enjoy seeing fighters get knocked out cold. "I don't like knockouts," Ford said. "I like punishment." To the casual observer, this might seem bizarre. After all, Tank Davis is famous for his highlight reel knockouts. But Ford's explanation sheds light on his old-school mentality. For him, boxing was not just about quick finishes, but about dishing out punishment over long, grueling rounds. Ford recounted a sparring session from Davis's early years where Tank knocked out a Russian fighter with a single punch. "He hit that dude one time, boom, dropped. He looked at his hands, looked at me. I said, 'Oh my God, that's why I don't like knockouts. I want fighters to remember the punishment they suffered, not just the result.'"
I had Tank as that little boy.
He ain't let me coach.
And he came in the gym one day and he said, "Coach, I seen it." I said, "What you seen?" "I had all the belts on me." He said, "I'm gonna be that dude." Rest is history.
Damn, I got goosebumps, Loki.
This view puts Ford in an interesting light. While many coaches would celebrate their fighters' ability to end fights with devastating power, Ford preferred the long haul, the endurance test where fighters pay a heavy price over the course of the rounds. Could this philosophical difference between coach and fighter have played a role in their split? After all, Davis's entire career has been built on his knockout power. As he ascended to the top of the sport, perhaps Tank felt that Ford's old-school approach was holding him back from fully embracing his destructive abilities.
Two guys that really don't like each other, man. I'm still trying to figure out how they didn't start liking each other. But they really don't like each other. Y'all gotta come check this thing out. Can't get there. Showtime, pay-per-view, all day long, y'all.
Adding another layer to the story, Ford also opened up about Davis's early fears in the sport. When Gervonta was transitioning from amateur to pro, he was initially scared of getting hit with the smaller pro gloves. Ford recalled a time when they were at the Nationals, and Davis, after seeing the size of the pro gloves, said, "I ain't never going pro. Ain't nobody hitting me with them." It's fascinating to think that a fighter now known for his ruthless power and fearlessness in the ring once had serious doubts about even turning professional. But under Ford's guidance, those fears were slowly conquered, and Tank made his pro debut in 2013 with a knockout victory. Over the years, Ford's influence helped Gervonta develop the mental and physical toughness that made him the knockout artist he is today.
Who do you want to see? You, as a guy that's in his trainer, that's like a father figure to him, you're training him all the time, you know him, both y'all from the streets of Baltimore the whole bit. Who do you want to see Tank fight next?
I want him to get all of them that ran their mouth.
While Ford valued punishing opponents over the course of a fight, Davis has become more focused on finishing his foes early, collecting knockouts like trophies. Perhaps Ford's reluctance to embrace the knockout style that made Gervonta a star led to a quiet dissatisfaction between them. Maybe Tank felt that Ford didn't fully appreciate his knockout prowess, or that Ford's old school mentality was becoming outdated in a sport that rewards explosive finishes and viral moments. Ford's confession that he preferred punishing fights over quick knockouts may have been at odds with Davis's growing fame and the expectations placed on him by fans, promoters, and media.
Hey, he was talking shit. Okay, I like that. Do that again.
Gervonta, now a global star, might have felt that it was time to move in a different direction, one more aligned with his current career trajectory. And then, of course, there's Leonard Ellerbe. His role in Tank's career cannot be overstated. As one of the main architects behind Floyd Mayweather's rise to superstardom, Ellerbe has a proven track record of building lucrative boxing brands. His involvement in Davis's career was bound to grow as Tank's profile expanded. However, Ellerbe's business-first mindset clashed with Ford's more grounded personal approach. For Ellerbe, success is measured in dollars and headlines. For Ford, it was about the art of boxing, the craft of molding a fighter over time. These conflicting visions for Davis's future may have led to an irreparable rift between Ford and his star pupil. The relationship between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and his longtime trainer Calvin Ford has always been a complex one, steeped in trust, mentorship, and growth. However, as time passes, the bond between them seems to have become more strained, and one of the key factors behind this strain appears to be the shadow of Floyd Mayweather. Once a guiding force in Tank's career, Mayweather has become a controversial figure, especially as Davis has tried to distance himself from his former mentor. Now Davis finds himself at odds with not just Mayweather, but perhaps even with the very coaches who helped mold him into the superstar he is today.
Another thing I want to touch on is the Floyd situation. You know, Floyd is Floyd. That's like I say, Tank is Tank, man. But at the end of the day, you know, the man is chasing greatness. And you should be supporting that. I always tell you that. You should be supporting that, you know. It's a rocky road that we saying what's going on. Just pay attention, man. The story is going to reveal itself.
The heart of this tension is the persistent bringing up of Mayweather's past by Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis. Despite Davis officially parting ways with Mayweather Promotions in 2022, Ford and Ellis have continually referenced Mayweather in interviews and conversations, including stories of the fallout that occurred when Davis was allegedly banned from Mayweather's gym during his preparations for his fight against Ryan Garcia in 2023. But why? When Gervonta Davis has worked so hard to carve out his own identity, do his coaches keep dragging him back into Mayweather's orbit? The relationship between Mayweather and Davis was once seen as rock solid. Mayweather discovered Davis at a young age and helped him rise through the ranks, positioning him as a future superstar. However, over time, the cracks begin to show. By the time of his fight with Ryan Garcia, Davis had officially left Mayweather Promotions and their bond had all but disintegrated.
Tank was the first one in the gym, the last one out the gym. Tank used to sit on the ring like this and watch me train him.
How old is he at this point?
He was like 7, 8.
Okay.
A lot of stuff that I was giving my son was giving it to Tank. So it was a perfect fit. Tank was like the family.
Much of the tension came to a head when Davis accused Mayweather of banning him from his gym just as he was preparing for the biggest fight of his career in 2023. This was a pivotal moment for Davis, who was up against one of his most formidable opponents yet. To be barred from training in such an environment would have been a devastating blow. Both Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis, who were instrumental in Davis's preparation, were livid at the move. In a video shared on Ford's Instagram, Ellis openly questioned Mayweather's motives, accusing him of trying to sabotage Tank's preparation. If Tank is like a son to Floyd, why would you put him out of the gym? Biggest fight of his career and you ban him. Why? Did you want him to lose? Ellis's frustration was evident, and Ford echoed similar concerns, suggesting that Mayweather was perhaps trying to exert some kind of control over Davis despite their professional split. However, what made this more puzzling was Ford and Ellis's continued focus on this fallout, even though Davis himself had moved on. Instead of concentrating on Tank's upcoming fight with Lamont Roach Jr., Ford and Ellis seemed determined to remind the world of Mayweather's transgressions. What's particularly strange about Ford and Ellis's recent comments is that they continue to bring up Floyd Mayweather at a time when Davis is trying to distance himself from that chapter of his life. Since leaving Mayweather Promotions, Davis has been vocal about his desire to forge his own path, free from Mayweather's shadow. However, his coaches don't seem to be on the same page. Instead of focusing on Davis's upcoming fight with Lamont Roach Jr., Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis have been fixated on the past, repeatedly bringing up Mayweather's treatment of Davis. The constant rehashing of old stories, like Davis being banned from Mayweather's gym, feels like a distraction from the task at hand.
This show and sit there and say to themselves like they came from a karate movie, man, I want to fight just like Tank. I want to be just like Tank. Because we're going to put that work in.
This begs the question, why are Ford and Ellis so focused on Mayweather when Davis himself has made it clear he no longer wants to be associated with him? Is it possible that Ford, as someone who has been around Mayweather's orbit for years, can't quite let go of the past? Or is there something deeper at play, perhaps a sense of betrayal or hurt that's keeping Ford and Ellis stuck in this narrative? Another revealing moment came when Ford shared a story about Davis's early reluctance to turn professional. According to Ford, Davis was initially scared of the smaller pro gloves, fearing the impact of getting hit with them. One day, we was at the Nationals and he seen the size of the pro gloves. He said, "I ain't never going pro. Ain't nobody hitting me with them." Ford had to encourage Davis to embrace the challenge, and eventually, Tank made his pro debut in 2013, securing a knockout win against Desi Williams.
What's your best Tank story?
My best Tank story? Oh, when we used to go on the Nationals, he used to get in their room and pour water. He still do that too. Pour water on them and run out the room while they sleep. I take all the kids to the Nationals, and he used to get in your room. And while you sleep, he'll come in and pour water on you and run out the room. Like, yo, how you get in that room?
However, if there's someone focused on Tank's future, it's Ellerby. Eddie Hearn recently signed Shakur Stevenson to a 2-fight deal with Matchroom, and Ellerby has been working with Gervonta Tank Davis throughout his career. Both men back their fighters with unwavering confidence. So when they were spotted at the grand arrivals for the Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga fight, the question of who would win in a matchup between Tank and Shakur naturally came up. Hearn was quick to talk about Shakur's technical skills and boxing ability, particularly when compared to Tank's tendency to lose rounds early in fights. Hearn pointed out that this was exactly what happened in Tank's fight against Frank Martin. During the earlier parts of that fight, Martin showed great footwork and outboxed Davis, giving him problems with his movement. Shakur is known for his excellent footwork and strong defense, and Hearn believes these attributes would give Shakur a clear path to success against Tank.
Frank was on stage, he said, "I'm going to beat Tank's ass." What's your response to that?
A lot of them said that. A lot of them said that, and I want him to have that attitude because, again, I know what's under the hood with him. He's forward built.
But while the Frank Martin fight did reveal Tank's vulnerability to slick boxers early on, it also showed the other side of Tank's game, his ability to turn things around with sheer power. Once Tank tasted Martin's punches, it was clear that he wasn't concerned. He walked Martin down, cutting off the ring and closing the distance until he could get within range to land a powerful shot. Once Martin felt that power, the momentum of the fight shifted dramatically, and it wasn't long before Tank secured the victory. This has become a recurring theme in many of Tank's fights. Opponents can outbox him in the early rounds, but eventually, Tank figures them out, closes the distance, and lands a fight-changing punch. That's the scenario that many boxing fans envision in a potential fight with Shakur Stevenson. The question isn't whether Shakur can outbox Tank in the early rounds. Many believe he can. The real question is whether Shakur can avoid Tank's power for the entire fight. During their exchange, Hearn and Ellerbe had very different views on how this hypothetical fight would play out. Ellerbe, who has been with Tank throughout his entire career, is convinced that Shakur can't beat him.
Shakur can't beat Tank. I disagree. Beat all the other fighters. He can't fuck with Tank. Can't fuck with Tank. Why not? Leonard, Tank decides to do what he wants to in certain fights. We can have a big bet on that fight. Most definitely. I think Shakur's the man to beat. Shakur cannot fuck with Tank. He's a very good fighter. A lot of respect for him, what he's done in the ring. Got a good team around.
Ellerbe confidently stated, he won't beat Tank. Shakur can't beat Tank. Hearn, however, had a different opinion. He quickly responded, I disagree. Tank loses rounds. This wasn't just Hearn talking up his fighter. It was a reflection of what many boxing analysts have pointed out. Tank often gives away early rounds because he's more focused on landing his power shots than unboxing his opponent. Ellerbe wasn't fazed by Hearn's point, though. He explained, Tank decides to do what he wants to do in certain fights. This comment is revealing because it highlights that Tank is more strategic than he might appear. Ellerbe suggests that Tank isn't losing rounds because he's being outboxed. He's simply choosing to bide his time, waiting for the right moment to strike. In other words, Tank knows that his power can change a fight at any moment, so he's willing to let his opponent win some rounds if it means setting up the perfect shot later on.
God, trust me, Shakur's gonna get that work. He asking for it, he gonna get that work. But it ain't what he think it is. It ain't what he think it is. I can't wait for it to happen though.
Hearn, not backing down, upped the stakes by suggesting a bet on the potential fight. Me and you can have a bet on that fight, he said, with the confidence of a man who truly believes his fighter would win. Ellerbe didn't hesitate to accept. Most definitely, he replied. For Ellerbe, this wasn't just talk. He genuinely believes that Tank's power and ring IQ would be too much for Shakur to handle. Hearn continued to press his case, stating, I think Shakur is the man to beat him. He's not alone in that belief. Shakur's technical skill, combined with his ability to make adjustments and control the pace of a fight, has many boxing experts thinking that he could be the one to finally solve the Tank Davis puzzle.
Yeah, boxing.
Yeah.
Me and Tank the biggest fight.
That's the one.
It's the biggest fight in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be the biggest boxing fight in the world when it happens.
Ellerbe, however, remained unmoved. He reiterated his respect for Shakur as a fighter, but made it clear that he doesn't believe Shakur has what it takes to beat Tank. Shakur cannot beat Tank. He's a very good fighter. I have a lot of respect for him with what he's done in the ring, and he has a good team around him. He can't beat Tank, Ellerbe said, putting his faith in the fighter he's been with from the beginning. Despite their differing opinions, it was clear that both Hearn and Ellerbe saw this potential fight as a huge event. The back and forth between the two promoters only added fuel to the fire, making it clear that this is a fight fans would love to see. The betting talk between Hearn and Ellerbe shows that both sides are confident and eager to prove their fighter is the best.
Tank is the face of boxing, and he get a lot of knockouts that people kind of making it like, if you ain't doing what Tank doing, then they gonna say it's boring. Do you feel like it's because of how his style is that they kind of putting that on you, like wanting you to do that?
People is blessed with different ability. He's blessed with a God-given ability that he crack you 9 times out of 10, you gonna go down. That's his ability.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with God-given eyes. A lot of people don't understand how good my eyes is. I can see really good. Like, punches coming my way, I know how to get away from them.
Right.
At any given time.
Interestingly, Ellerbe's confidence in Tank wasn't just about the here and now. There's a sense that Ellerbe is already planning out the future for Davis, with big fights on the horizon. After Davis finishes his upcoming fight with Lamont Roach Jr., there's a strong possibility that the fight with Shakur could become a reality. Ellerby's unwavering belief in Tank's abilities suggests that he's already looking ahead, mapping out the next steps in Tank's career. For Davis, this potential matchup with Shakur could be another defining moment. Tank has already proven himself against top-level opponents, but Shakur represents a different kind of challenge, one that would push Tank's boxing skills to the limit. Ellerby's planning reflects the belief that Tank is not just a knockout artist, but a fighter capable of handling any style, even someone as slick and defensively sound as Shakur.
I still think it's too soon for Shakur, man. And
it's a dangerous for both of them.
Definitely, I got 50-50. I got 50-50, but I still, no, I would give Tank a 10% edge on him, man. 60-40.
Listen, I'm gonna step out of this conversation because of the power.
Yeah, because of the power. You know what I'm saying? I want to see how he deal with it.
As things stand, the ball is in the court of the promoters. Ellerby, with his deep ties to Davis and his experience guiding him through his career, is likely already thinking about how to make this fight happen. For Hearn, who recently signed Shakur to a deal with Matchroom, the goal is clear. Position Shakur as the man to beat in the lightweight division and set up the biggest fights possible. But as this back and forth between Hearn and Ellerby shows, making the fight is only half the battle. Both sides are already strategizing, laying the groundwork for what would be one of the biggest showdowns in boxing. And while the promoters debate, the fighters will eventually have to settle things in the ring.
Some of your 135 contemporaries have a lot to say these days. Shakur Stevenson, well, of course, he's now 135 after all that stuff, and then Devin Haney.
Right, so why people even talk like he the best at, he didn't even fight at 135 yet.
Right.
He didn't even have power at 126, 30 or none of that.
He is good.
For now, all eyes are on Tank Davis's next fight with Roach, but it's clear that the wheels are already turning for what comes after. Whether or not Shakur is next on the agenda, one thing is for sure. Leonard Ellerby is still planning out the future for Tank, and he believes that future includes more victories and even bigger fights. But what do you think of all that? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.